Hello. Deb, you're on mute, Deb.
I'm okay with that.
Okay. I was getting nervous there. I was like, where did everybody go?
No, I ended the meeting for everybody. And then I tried coming on, and then it remembered that I was Brian Thomas last time, so it tried to log me in as Brian Thomas. So.
Okay, so we are recording. That's good. I am going to just turn over the share screen. Um, who officially will be owning it tonight?
It's going to be the University of Illinois at Chicago Bridge to the Doctorate students. As far when you say owning it,
Who will own the screen? Who's going to take over the screen tonight?
University of Illinois.
In particular, Juan. Okay, perfect. Juan, I see you there. Can you hear us?
I don't know if that's him or not. I think that's somebody else, Brian.
Oh,
that's Juanita.
Nope, that's Juanita Stephen.
So, just so you know, since you did log in, now it will be recorded and it will save to your drive or your C drive. Okay, I just want to make sure.
We're good now.
All right.
I just need to turn over the sharing rights.
No, I don't think you even need to do that. I think they'll just.
You can just take it over in this.
Yeah, as long as you're not sharing, I can go ahead and share mine then.
Oh, I didn't even know it was that simple.
Sharing yours. Yeah.
Perfect. It's interesting now that you introduced me to Zoom. Now Zoom is everywhere I turn. It's like, wow, everybody's using Zoom.
And who was a beta tester for him?
Yeah, Zoom is very popular right now.
Exactly. It's taken over for Adobe Connect. I mean, it just has so much more. I told you before, I think that it has like whiteboarding, and then also you can do breakout sessions within it too. So like if like we decided to like break 20 some people into 5 different groups of 4, you can actually do that within the software. Okay. And the moderator can jump from room to room to room to participate with the different groups.
Hey, Juan.
Hey.
All right, Deb.
All right. So, guys, we are officially recording, and what we'll do is we typically get started at about 4 or 5 minutes after the hour, because a lot of people do call in right on time.
Mm-hmm.
So from this point on, it's your show. If you guys have any adjustments you need to make, we got about 10 minutes to make any last minute adjustments.
Okay, well, we've made the changes to the takeaway slide. Should we be in slide mode right now?
I think so.
Yep, you can.
And have the front one up.
Yeah.
Yep, just put the front one up.
First one, whatever.
I'm so excited. I'm so ready to get to Chicago.
It's like I cannot believe it's 3 weeks away, and then it's like I can't believe it's only 3 weeks away. It's like I'm going shopping this weekend to get all the decorations and stuff, and it's just.
We just did this, Deb.
It feels like, honestly. I was telling my daughter, I'm like, I love the fact that I'm seeing so many names over and over again from last year, and it's like, but I feel like I just saw the kids probably 6 months ago, and I know it's been a year mentally, but like it feels like 5 or 6 months ago maybe. But you know what? I remember Carmel. She was like maybe 5 or 6 months pregnant, and she was just over the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
And now she's got somebody with her that she's got to run after.
She was in the room, trying to get some sleep.
Someone's going to be in the room trying to get some sleep.
She's like, well, who's going to watch Jackson? I said, he's going to start off. He'll be a part of it at the beginning. He'll control festivities. Matter of fact, I want to bring him down there so he can go to sleep when we get back. Make him get tired. There's a long shot that he actually might take his first steps there.
Absolutely. Hey, you know what? If he got a bathing suit, they got a pool there, and Grandma can take him to the pool, wear him out.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Get him in a little floaty and let him kick those little legs around. He'll love that.
No,
that's nice.
Yeah, I'm excited. How do you get the cat thing up?
Oh.
At the bottom of your screen, just click chat and it'll automatically pop up for you. Just run the mouse over the screen.
Minimize it. There you go.
And then,
Hey.
Yeah, it's at the top of our.
Yep. Oh, at the top? Okay. I'm sorry about that.
so, but we're going to be seeing it while we're presenting the.
But they won't see it.
But what
Yep.
they won't. But what you want to do is you want to probably resize it so you can put it over.
I usually tuck the chat in one of the corners. Regardless, it's going to take up a little bit of your screen, but just tuck it in one corner.
Yeah, put it up.
Present.
It's at the beginning.
And Brian and I will pay attention to the chat window, and I'll pay attention to also the attendee faces to make sure people aren't like raising their hand or trying to get people's attention.
Deb, what do you see right now?
Right now, I see the presenter mode of PowerPoint. Now I'm going to see the actual slide. There it is. I see the slide.
All right, there you go.
And then I'm supposed to
Put it up in a corner some doggone way.
Small as it gets.
as small as it gets. It's perfect.
Yeah, that's
it's-
fine. Now, are we going to see everybody that logs in?
Yep.
Yeah.
Really? That's gonna get kind of crowded, isn't it?
No,
Well-
your screen will only allow a certain number, and then you'll have to scroll down.
I don't think you need to make it that big.
So
And if you like, you don't have to see everyone. You can like minimize that as well.
You're gonna verbalize it.
I mean, I'm just seeing how this chat's
How it
gonna work
works.
out, but
Yeah. Hey, Mr. Chris.
That's Dr. Anderson from Dominican.
Hey, Dr. Anderson.
He doesn't have his volume on yet.
He's trying to talk.
So are you gonna interview Asha?
yeah.
Yeah.
Once I present the,
Let's get all the way through.
my last slide, I think.
Deb, do you mind? I don't want to take up a lot of your time, but maybe about 5 minutes after. Do you mind calling me?
Sure. Send me the number that you want me to reach you at.
Okay.
Yeah, we have to finalize some stuff.
Yep. It's not a whole lot, but I got
Okay.
something for you. Excuse me.
Oh, no. 10 minutes are nice. My part. Japanese need to take a little bit more. I got 15 slides, so it's like a minute each, maybe less.
Yeah, so we've got, do you want me to print the page and keep track of time?
Yeah, we good.
I think you
I'll
guys will
just,
be all right.
I'll make it up as I go.
Because it's
you know?
gonna be 5 for that, and then how much for you? 10? And then 10 for Kasha, or,
Yeah, it should be.
because it's a total of 20, right?
I think it's 30 something.
Okay,
Okay, so I think we're at room to breathe a
so
little bit.
breathe, yeah.
How many slides do you have?
I like 6, but
So, yeah.
All right.
Candace, do you call in from a lab or something?
Yeah.
Okay, because I was like, are you in the same location from last time?
Yes.
Okay. I'm like, it was weird. We were doing the presentation and the whole time, I'm like, where is she?
Yep. On campus still.
Hey, Sylvester.
Hello,
How are you? Where are you from?
I'm from Western Illinois University.
Where?
Western Illinois University.
Western Illinois.
Yeah.
Are you coming to the conference?
Yeah, I'll be at the conference.
Yes. Dr. Anderson, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
All right, perfect.
And I see Brandy McKnight. She's on as well.
Hey, Brandy. Hey, guys. If you guys can just do us a small favor, everyone that is logged in, if you can go into the chat function and please type your name and your university, please, and thank you.
Where is the chat?
If you run your mouse across the screen, it's either at the bottom or the top. It should say chat.
Okay.
Thank you. Oh, Brandy, you're not far from me.
Where do you go?
Well, I don't go to school anymore, but I live in the Detroit area, so I'm not far from you.
Oh, okay.
Someone has some serious background noise. Can you turn your phone on mute or turn your screen?
I'll see you later.
Have a good day.
And you might want to.
So what we'll do is I'll just go through a little bit of housekeeping. This is interactive, everyone, but if you can keep your if you know you have a little background noise or something, you can turn it on mute. But just remember that when you want to speak, please take it off mute. But we do want you to be interactive. We don't want you just kind of listening and not joining in. This is very, very interactive. And also, don't hesitate in the middle of the presentation. If you have a question or comment, you can do one or two things. You can chat a question or a comment, or you can just like talk. You can just say, hey, I got a question, and interrupt us. Because at the end of the day, it's not about us presenting the content to you. It's about you getting what you need to be successful.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. And we typically get started at about 7:05. So at that time, we'll go live.
7:05?
Yep. We'll go live in 2 minutes. See if we get any people in. Well, we got a lot of the country covered. We got California and Chicago, Michigan, Ohio. Yeah, we'll get more. This is our third session. We're learning. We're growing together. All right.
Faculty as well. It's a general, the audience is a general collective. So they've made it available to anybody.
What I'll do, if you can just see me, I'll give you just a little one finger. That'll take us to the next slide. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started tonight, guys. Welcome to our Wednesday night STEM Professional Development Virtual Learning Sessions. This is our third session. And tonight we have a very unique subject that is something that all of you will probably be very familiar with, and many of you will be utilizing in the next few weeks. And also we have some special guests that we're going to tell you about a little bit later. All right. So as you know, we kind of show this with each session. If there's someone with background noise, could you please turn your computer on mute? Please. Thank you. So each time we kind of just let you know what the objective is here. There's someone with background. Can you please go on mute? Thank you. All right. So our objective here is to be more successful, more productive, more effective in your academic, professional, and in your personal life. So we do want you to be very open tonight. We do want you to get your questions answered. And I know we're going to be talking about poster sessions tonight and research, our scientific research. But if there's a question, a general question you may have, don't hesitate to answer. You have a lot of people on the call tonight that have many years of experience that can support you in any way that you need. All right, so tonight's subject matter is present your research, creating and presenting a scientific poster. So our objectives for today are scientific research poster development, scientific research poster setup, and scientific research poster delivery. Within the next 22 days, many of you will be in the hot seat. We'll be there in Chicago as you'll be presenting your scientific research. So I really want you to take advantage of this wonderful opportunity that we have tonight to help prepare yourself. And I don't know if Deb has told you, but we have it's a competition as well. So not only is it presenting, but it's a competition, and there'll be prizes for certain levels of winning. All right. Next. So our special presenters tonight are from the University of Illinois at Chicago, the Bridge to the Doctorate program. Kasha and Juan will be giving us a beautiful presentation, preparing us for our scientific research presentations. And guys, I ask you give them a nice little virtual learning session. Round of applause for being here for us. All right, and at this point, Kasha and Juan, I'm going to turn it over to you, and when you're done, I'll be ready for you.
Oh, icebreaker.
So I don't mind taking it, Juan. So you know we do a little icebreaker each time, guys. So for the winner of the virtual learning session icebreaker competition, unofficial competition, what is the scientific term? These two words are the scientific term for what? Let's see who can guess that. You even get credit if you can pronounce it. One of our guest speakers can pronounce it very well. So, guest speaker, can you let them know how to say this or these two words?
Phenopalatine ganglioneuralgia.
Wow, impressive. So we won't waste any time. Go ahead and click it. So this is the scientific term for brain freeze. So if you go to a party or something, you can be the life of the party by learning how to say that. All right, so we'll transition. So what is a scientific poster real quick, guys? This is the last slide before, actually we only have one more slide. It's a scientific poster is a communication tool, guys. And really, we won't go into the details of this full thing, but I want you to look at the words we highlighted. It's a verbal presentation. Now, your poster is the visual aid, but you do have to communicate. You are limited in time. You know, you can't sit there and overtalk it as well. It's informal and interactive. At the LSMCE conference in particular, it's a very loose atmosphere that we've created there, but at the same time, it's professional. So you do want to make sure you deliver it in a professional manner. You want it to look professional, but we want you to have some fun with this. And so on the next slide, what you'll see is this is what a lot of students' faces look like when they start the process for the first time. It's like, man, what in the world is going on? All of these people, maybe people are taking pictures. You have just all these boards, and there's a lot of stuff going on, and we want you to be very comfortable. So what's going to happen is our friends that are presenting tonight are going to help you turn these frowns into smiles by giving you some information that can make you more confident and better prepared over the next 3 weeks. All right, so we're going to turn it over, and I'll see you at the end.
All right. Well, hi everybody. My name is Juan, and I'm here to present the anatomy of a poster. So just to start off, I hope everyone can hear me okay. I hope there's no microphone problem. So basically, I want to start off with a nice quote that I found that really represents the significance of a poster. It should be considered kind of a snapshot of your work, or I like to think of it as kind of your masterpiece. It's something that you've probably been working for a few weeks or months or case years. And so it's something that you really should be proud of, something that you work really hard on. And not only that, it's something that it opens a door to new opportunities, such as networking skills. It helps you with your communication. And plus, it provides an opportunity to meet other people within that field and allows you to explore new ideas. And so I think it's very important. And I think you should all take this opportunity very seriously and take it to maximum potential. So now, poster components. First, we start off with the title. Very basic, but yet very important. So you should try to describe your work in as few words as possible, be precise, and be technical in the sense that you should include the system and the method of study within that same line. And this really is very important because it obviously introduces people to your poster. And so I took an example from a poster I made about 2 years ago or a year ago. And you can see that it includes methodology with in silico discovery, and it includes the system, which was a glutamate receptor. And of course, you include your name, the people that you've worked with, and PI plus their affiliations and organizations. Title should be about 86 points. The most important factor is make sure it's visible and someone could read it. I think 4 feet away is a very good measurement. And use good fonts. Please, no Comic Sans or anything that no one can read. Good ones are Times New Roman, Palatino. Just work with what you have, and you'll find something that's common and useful. So now onto the abstract. Now this is also very important. Actually, every component is very important, but your abstract will summarize your work. It will include the background, the methods, your major results. Results are very important. They could also be preliminary. Depends on how you are in your research. And it should also include, can't really see what it says, relevance, of course. So you should tell people how important your work is and why they should see your poster. And so typically it's 150 to 250 words, and a good font is 26 points. Just to show you how I distributed my abstract, I put in color schemes. Now, the background is pretty big as well as the method. I'm so sorry. What happens to the colors? Sorry. So background is actually pretty dense as well as the methodology. It's because those two things were pretty novel, and they needed a lot of explanation so people can really understand what's going on. And you can see that relevance should be summarized in a few words, just so, it's supposed to be very persuasive, right? That's where you're supposed to use a little creativity. Now, your introduction, also very important, right? Should lay out the background of your work and should really help introduce people to your poster, right? What I recommend is using a lot of images. As you can see, my introduction, I don't know if they can see the mouse. The introduction has plenty of images. And so when people would come up to me, I would be able to point out the system or the receptors and how they interact, and family receptors and their function in nice, easy to read formats. Because some people just come up to the posters to look at the pictures, not really read the words. So it's very important to keep it very heavy with images and not with, long and boring text. As you can also see, there's small little text boxes just so people that know what the images are can read along and understand what's going on as well. And hypothesis, also very important, right? It states the question that you set out to find or the statement that you follow throughout your research. And so I would put this in a nice bold font so people can just, if they know the context, if they already know what's going on in terms of background and introduction, they can look at the hypothesis and exactly know where you're at. And now the specific aims is kind of follows your hypothesis and it lays out the steps that you were able to accomplish and or going to accomplish, right? Materials and methods. This could be important if your methodology is not as common as others. Everyone knows what a PCR is or has an idea, but my methodology was pretty complex and it was not as common to the public. And I would actually like to take this point out to mention that some people don't have the same level of expertise, so you should really be able to communicate your ideas in different levels of experience. So to results. So now this is very important. Your posters should have data, right? So you could put that in terms of figures or tables. You're supposed to translate, of course, all the work you've done. So, I mean, and so I think it's very important. My results were many, but this is just kind of a snapshot of it. I had my results and I have a brief explanation. I also had a few tables, which also included explanations, because your poster should be able to stand on its own, right? Someone should be able to see it without you being there and be able to understand and follow it. So, and now your conclusions, also very important, should summarize your results. I like to itemize it just to get the key issues out. And future works should also be included so people can see that you are, you have potential to follow up with your research. I think it's very important. And of course, you should acknowledge everyone that helped you and everyone that's funded you. Cite your references, especially if they're work from other people. You don't want lawsuits. You should really avoid that. And so just to give you an idea, here is on the left side, a bad poster or an ugly or not recommended. This student was very, very naive and young. You could see that abstract is basically an essay. You see that the methods are just all a block of text. The results, basically a Wikipedia article. It was pretty bad. I don't recommend you to do any poster like this. I could put this up because it was mine. It was my first poster ever, and so that was it's shameful, but I learned from that experience. And so my good poster on the right side shows more space, more images, more figures. That you could see on the right column, there's the results in terms of tables and graphs. You could see, even though it's a very small picture, you can see the title very clearly. The color scheme is also very important, and I'll show you why right now. So this is kind of just the same picture. You can see that the color scheme is very simple, yet not too basic. And this is very important because you don't want a poster like this where you can't read the words. And so you can see that this is a pretty bad poster as well. And you also want a style that is able to be persuasive and it could attract people from far away. So you don't want an ugly one where you really can't. It's supposed to attract people, not repel them or deter them from looking at it. And or it can't be too adorable and distracting like my cat, and you won't be able to read the words, or you're just too busy looking at the cuteness that's posted behind it. And so in the end, try to follow a good flow. As you can see, as I mentioned, the components, it is in the poster. There's the abstract, there are the introduction, hypothesis, specific aims, methodology, and the results. So you should always try to follow a nice flow. So when someone independently reads it, they could follow along easily. Or when you're presenting, you know where to start off and where to follow and continue. You don't get lost within your own poster. I think it's very important. And so I'm going to, oh, right. If anyone has questions, is there any?
Yeah, that was a lot of information, guys. But I was sitting over here taking notes myself. I'm like, wow, I'm not even putting a poster together, but this was, I think you put a lot of information into a very small package. Is there anything, guys, in that presentation that you would like to know a little bit more about? Would you like to see that slide that had the font sizes? Would you like to see that one more time to take any notes?
Yeah, can you put it back up?
Okay.
Which slide?
The one that has like the font sizes, like the recommended font sizes and everything.
Yeah, I think it's maybe like your third slide or so.
So, right. So yes. Title about 86 points, 44 for the authors, affiliations 40. The font types in Roman, Latino.
Juan, I've got a question, and I think probably we ought to keep in mind that these fonts seem to be huge, but remember that your poster is like 4 foot by 4 foot or something large, so it's going to be related to the size of your poster. I don't think that it's really, huge based on just regular, a regular publication page.
So that was Denise Yates, everybody, by the way.
Hi.
So I'm not sure how many of you have created a poster before, or even know how to start one. I've used PowerPoint. You could change the dimensions of PowerPoint to fit the limitations. Normally, depending on the conference, they tell you it has to be certain size. They could be anything from 4 to 4 to, I think, 4 to 8 or something. So you should follow that. Let me show you. Oh, and generally, 26 is the font size. 26 to 30. Let me see. It's like for every other text, right? So I created this with PowerPoint, right? They told me in the conference it has to be from this size to this size. So in PowerPoint, the first slide, you just change it to whatever size you can get. Oh, and it's also very important. So yeah, there's a lot more information I'm keeping away from you. I'm sorry. You have to be careful with the printer. You have to get a specific printer. I don't know what they're called. Go to your local Office Max or printer shop. I don't know if that exists.
FedEx,
Kinko's.
Yeah.
I never heard of that. So you have to get the dimensions from the printer because if you make them too big, they'll shrink it down. So try to get all the dimensions as soon as possible. So then you could tell the PowerPoint program what size you want, and then from there work onward. And so if you could see, I use these blue blocks. It's kind of like a guide, a schematic, so I know where to fit everything. I was able to divide, I don't remember the dimensions, but I was able to divide it in 3 columns. Because, or at least from my research, it was better for me to explain it like that. Now, obviously, everyone's different. Some people use 2 columns, or they just make one big poster. You have to, I think, is there any site that you can
Well, I think we can include it when we upload the presentation.
Right.
We can put some references and some sites that might be helpful in developing your poster.
Right. Because depending on the research, you want a specific poster type. But the point is, dimensions are very important. Try to keep that in mind. And so once you have the dimensions, you can work out little text blocks and be able to find the perfect font for you. I the numbers I gave you were from my poster, and they're basically the dimensions you see. And obviously, you'll have to see. Yeah. So yeah, we'll have to work out. Are there any other questions? Okay.
Did that answer the question?
Did that answer your question? I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So, yeah.
And you guys are doing good on time, so you don't have to rush.
All right. So I'm gonna take you now to Kesha, and she's gonna tell you stuff.
Stuff.
I'm Kasha. I'll tell you stuff. The segment I'm going to talk about is more so about preparing to give the actual talk for your poster presentation. And so you already have your poster now, theoretically, and you have to give a talk. Typically at some conferences, talks are 5 to 10 minutes. Some talks can be as small as 2 minutes. And so it's kind of good to gauge your audience to determine what best to say. For example, if I notice a faculty member comes up to my poster, I'm sure that he's most likely interested in my rationale and the methodology and my results. So when I'm practicing and preparing, I'm more likely going to have a version for this particular faculty, giving them the results, the rationale, my methodology. And also, if we have friends coming up to our poster or family members or colleagues that aren't as familiar with our technique, they might actually require a mini lesson of what we're researching. So we might want to tailor our presentation to give them a bit more background about what kind of work we do. And then as you're presenting your work, you're trying to figure out what to say. You might have been practicing, you pretty much have down what you're going to say, and then there might be a particular judge or a person who's going to challenge your ideas or your findings. And so for example, when I gave my first poster talk, one of the judges asked me if she said that I didn't properly make conclusions about my work. And so she found a different correlation in my findings. And actually in discussing with her, I found out that both of our conclusions would be valid. And so rather than dismissing her idea or her statements, I was respectfully listening to her and defending my ideas. And so the purpose of this slide is to kind of get you in the mindset that depending on who comes to your poster, you should be prepared to say different things. And so as I mentioned, timing is critical. So you might want to have a 2-minute talk or a 7-minute talk. I'm not really certain on what the guidelines is for the speech at this particular conference for the judges. But make sure when you're talking to people, you don't kidnap them and make them listen to you for 10 and 15 minutes. Make sure you're leaving time for them for questions. And so in order to make sure you're not keeping them too long, it's very important that you practice. The more you practice, the more refined your timing will be, and you'll be more confident and more comfortable with your poster presentation.
Kasha,
yep.
on that note, can you elaborate just a little bit more for our students on maybe some ways to deliver the information, right? Because they're excited about delivering their information. But how do you leave that gap? How do you leave that space? How do you know when you've over-talked it? Like, do you give it a little more information on that?
I do. So when you're, to make sure you're getting all the points across, you want to make sure your talk includes your research question, the methods, your conclusion, and the relevance. Some people, if you're looking at your audience, you're going to see that they're not interested. They're going to start losing focus. And so you want to make sure at least you address the fact that they know your hypothesis. They know why you're doing this work. They know your rationale. They know the key methods and some of your key findings and why your work is relevant. If you've addressed those questions, you've spoken enough, in my opinion. But then you leave time for the next questions, and then they might ask you to further explain some of the components of the poster. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think that was very helpful. I didn't know it was your very next slide.
Okay, so and I'll make sure your talk is interesting and that the audience is engaged. A very important thing to do when giving any presentations to make sure you're not directly reading from the slide, reading from the poster, what have you. These poster talks are supposed to be conversational, and it's a dialogue between you and your audience. So a good thing to do is remember to keep a good pace, be conversational. If you want to I would suggest don't memorize anything, but be familiar with your work enough that you know which key phrases and transitions to get you to the next part of your talk. Because you're not looking at the poster, and if anyone has any questions, you need to know exactly where on your poster you can find the answer. So being familiar with your poster and the outline and everything will help you to direct your audience to the segment that you want them to pay attention to. Oftentimes people look at their poster because they're nervous or because they just need the support. So if you plan pauses, it'll allow for you to get yourself together and to calm yourself, and then you won't necessarily have to stare at the poster. Another good technique for just presenting in general is to speak clearly and loud enough. This can help to regulate your nervousness and your speech. Oftentimes, if you're giving a poster and you're looking at the poster, you're not going to know if your audience is following along or not. But if you're looking at the audience, you can see if they're paying attention. If you see they look confused, you can try using analogies or metaphors to better explain your work if your research is too technical for the audience. And because you're not looking at the poster, make sure everyone else is looking at the poster by standing to the side and not directly in front of it. Are there any questions here? Good to go. All right, so in order to, because if you're giving a presentation and you're not looking at the poster, you want to make sure you're saying the right things. So some things you want to keep in your mind is, what is my research about? So if you're asking yourself that question, that's going to remind you that you need to tell your audience about your research question and your hypothesis. And then the next question you're going to keep in your mind is, why does my research matter? That's going to provide the audience with, trigger you to remember to give your audience introduction and a background and better explain your rationale. So the next question you should keep in your mind is, what did I do? That allows for you to give a brief explanation of your methods and your techniques. The fourth question, what are my major results? Allows for you to talk about your conclusions, but most importantly, before talking about your conclusions, walk your audience through your data. A lot of students are typically afraid to go through their data, and it's actually something that I used to skip over because it's kind of intimidating. But don't skip over the data. That's what people are there for. They're there to see your findings, and you should be proud of it. And so the last question you should ask yourself is, what's the take-home message? Why did I come here? Why am I showing you this particular poster? And so basically you want to tell your audience why your work is significant, what you contribute to the field. And so that keeping these questions in your mind will help you to navigate through the poster presentation without looking at the poster, and also building confidence in getting through the presentation. And so after you give your presentation, there are some tough questions. There are going to be questions, but some questions are tougher than others. My best advice is, don't make up answers. However, when people ask questions, oftentimes you're quick to say, I don't know. But there are some parts of the questions that you're able to answer. So my suggestion would be to answer the portion of the question you can answer, and then let the questioner know that you don't know the rest of the answer, or that you don't have data pertaining to this question, or you haven't read this particular paper. Answers like that will help you to feel better about this tough question. Sometimes people ask questions that aren't relevant to your work. And so my thing would be, don't be afraid to tell them that this question is beyond the scope of my work, because you're not expected to know everything. And then there's some times where you'll be stumped by a question, or you'll see that the question is not relevant. Like once before I was asked, how come I didn't do a specific method? And I had never heard of this method. So rather than saying, I don't know, I just said, why do you ask this? And so by asking the person why they asked that, it allowed for me to learn a different approach. And so when I went back to lab and talked to my PI, I was able to plan different experiments thinking from another angle, because I asked the person, why did you ask this? Rather than saying, I don't know. Are there any questions with dealing with tough questions before I move on?
I will say, Kasha, if you did not hear what Kasha just said about how to kind of get through that situation of not knowing the answer to that question, please take a note, and Kasha, maybe reiterate that, because that is one of the areas that makes students nervous, and it kind of goes downhill from there if you can't overcome that one moment. And it's almost like you forget everything else you know because you couldn't overcome this one little moment where you were uncomfortable saying, I don't know, but you didn't want to say I don't know. And I like, man, that's just so brilliant what you just said. So if you can reiterate that for our students tonight.
Okay, no problem. So rather than saying I don't know so basically you spent months or however long doing your project. So there's so much about your project that you do know. And so when you're asked the question, I'm sure there's something that you would know to answer the question. So my thing would be to tell the questioner what it is that you do know and the relevant answers that you have. But for whatever components of the question you don't know, let them know that you don't know it. I said admit it. Tell them that you don't have that data, your data doesn't suggest this, or you haven't read a particular study. The next point that I would say is if they ask a question that you shouldn't know, don't be afraid to admit that you don't know that question, that the question is outside of work. And the very most important thing would be if you're stumped by a question, I think it's a good learning moment. So ask the questioner, why are they asking this question? And then you can actually gain something rather than just saying, I don't know, and moving on. Are we good? Okay. And then the last point that I want to make is calming yourself and keeping calm. So reasons to not be nervous. I kind of think to myself, this is my project. I've worked on this project for however many months. I have no reason to be nervous. Another thing I like to think about is that my work is important. I wouldn't spend so much time if my work wasn't important. So this is the reason for me not to be nervous. And then the last thing, people are often nervous because they're afraid someone will ask them a crazy question and provide them with feedback they don't agree with. But keep in mind that feedback is good. You value criticism, and I value feedback. And then the last thing is that to not be nervous. I know that I want to become a better scientist. I want to be a better presenter. And so calming myself and keeping these things in mind helps me to get through the poster presentation. And so some things I do to calm myself is I typically try to arrive early just to get a feel for the surroundings, set up early, do some practice run through. When you arrive early, there's often other people there. You can watch them present. It'll kind of help ease your nerves. You can have them present to you. You can present to them. Do a run through with a neighbor. That kind of is always good because you start talking immediately and alleviate some of the nervousness right off the bat. And breathe. Breathing is very obvious. It can help you when you're speaking too fast to calm down. It can also help you just to get through the next moment. Practice pauses and pace yourself. So initially, when you're practicing your talk, try to build in places to pause, and it'll allow for you to get your pacing and to kind of calm yourself. And the water is always good. Pacing yourself is there again, and smiling. And that is the advice I have for nervousness. Does anyone have any particular questions? All right, so some of the last minute reminders I have about presenting will be remembering to breathe, of course. Don't memorize your talk. Your poster is a dialogue just like anything else. And keeping in mind, this is your project. You've spent so much time on it. Take pride in it and be confident. But most importantly, people want to hear your ideas. They want to hear what the work you've been doing. They came here. They're there to learn more about your work. But most importantly, you're there because you completed your research. You want to kind of demonstrate it to people. And most importantly, you're qualified to talk about your work because it's your work. All right, and so now actually Ron is going to go through his poster and do a kind of a demonstration of how he would present his poster. Before that, does anyone have any questions? I'll take it over to Juan.
Juan, before you get started, I do want to just give you guys one more tip on the calming. And we would usually discuss this when I do the interview presentation. But in late October in Chicago, it's actually going to be kind of cool outside. A lot of people get nervous and your body temperature increases and you may sweat. One of the simple techniques that I teach people for interview skills is actually to go outside, especially when it's cool temperatures, and just kind of take those deep breaths. So kind of walk through the steps that Kasha gave you, but take a step outside and actually like lower your body temperature. because for some reason, when you get in an interview or you present, it just naturally increases. And so that's just a little tip. I do this to this day when I interview. And it's something that has always helped me, is try to get to like a really low body temperature before you go into these sessions. I know that sounds kind of weird, but you just don't want to sweat. I've seen a lot of students sweating.
So maybe something I think I would like to add to all this, and it might not be relevant to the interview, or you might find yourself I tend to criticize myself more often than not, and sometimes you can be your own worst enemy, and so you trying to push yourself, although sometimes may be helpful, can really hurt you. So you should really try to, accept your flaws and learn from them, and just, I think what's really good for posters is just practice, just constant practice. And so let me just present my poster, or give you an idea of what I would do. So first of all, depending on the person you meet, right, depending on the context, you start off with the basics. What's your name, your school, and your title. You start off with what you're doing. And, if I would have the poster right here next to me, I would start off with the introduction and start with what I'm really studying. In my case, it's the in silico discovery of metabotropic glutamate receptor 3 inhibitors. And so just from that title, some people may be like, what's that? So you have to start off with basics. I explained from the very start what's glutamate, which is a neurotransmitter very common in the brain. And you kind of give them an idea what's going on with glutamate by saying, well, the neurotransmitter reacts with different type of receptors. My project was dedicated to finding studying one specific receptor, and it's a metabotropic glutamate receptor, a metabotropic receptor, which means that's coupled to a G protein and kind of have a second signaling mechanism. And I would present a wide scope of, so these are all the receptors. I'm focusing on just that one specific receptor. And from that receptor, we see that it's associated to different neurodegenerative diseases. And so that's why we're studying. So I just gave them a wide scope of what I'm studying, and I gave them why I'm studying. So I think that's very important. And then from there, I introduced the hypothesis and how we're looking for I state that selective and high affinity inhibitors of metabotropic glutamate receptor 3 can be found using our drug discovery strategy based on an in silico approach. Now, when they don't know what the in silico approach is, that's where I take them to methodology, right? And then I'm saying that what we're doing is using databases of these protein structures that are already online and very accessible to mine and search for ours and compare them with other compounds. So see, I'm giving them kind of a wide picture. Obviously, in your own research, you should be able to go more in depth. And then after I tell them, after this 1, 2, 3 steps, I go to my results, present. As you can see right in the middle, that's my protein, the one that I studied for this research project. And I showed the type of interactions that protein can handle. And with that information, we explored the different databases and found around, I think, 20 compounds. And from those 20 compounds, those are viable inhibitors. So those, as a future experiment, can be purchased and used in different assays to see its interaction with that protein. So that's basically my project. Then I would just handle any other question. They might want to know more about the methodology, read results, or what else I can do. I trying to think of different questions they would ask me, but they were just basically on the context of what I was doing, how I did it, how long it took me. That's basically it. Does anyone have any questions about how to present?
I think you guys can tell that Juan didn't take very long to go through the entire poster. So that's the kind of thing that you have to keep in mind when you're actually doing the presentation. Cover all the high points, and then you can give more time for questions and your answers.
I kind of want to go back to talking about practicing because I was trying to tell you all how to present without looking at the poster. One thing that I used to do was completely practice my whole talk with the poster nowhere in sight. And so that would kind of help me get my thoughts together without relying on looking at the poster. I think that's a good tip for me. It might help for some of you.
And there's a practice and memorize.
Right.
Yeah, because sometimes I would get different experts on, let's say, glutamate, and they already knew what glutamate was, so I didn't have to go through the introduction part and just go straight to what I brought into the field, which was the clinical process. And some people just wanted the results; they wanted even faster time, and so I was just like, "Well, I got this, and that," and I was done. So I think it's important to be very dynamic. Be comfortable with what you present. Again, this is your work. This is what you've been working on. You should be. So, are there any questions about anything?
Well, while we're taking pause, I think Brian is going to take over in a few minutes. This is Blue Stage from UIC. I wanted to give you guys an actual introduction of the presenters. And Asha Fuller is actually a PhD candidate in the Department of Biochemistry and Molecular Genetics here at UIC. And Juan, even though he took the lion's share of the poster components, is actually a first-year Bridge to the Doctorate Fellow in, I think now we've identified the pathology PhD program. So he's doing a lot of pretty special stuff. So I think that hopefully you've learned a little bit about what it takes to assemble a quality poster. And I might add that the poster that Juan presented, I believe, got him an award. What award was that, Juan?
It was the Abrahams Conference.
And that's the annual biomedical research conference for minority students. And Juan won what prize?
In the category of, I think it was computer science or neuroscience. I would also like to add that if it wasn't for that conference, I wouldn't have met Denise. And if I wouldn't have met Denise, I wouldn't be here right now at UIC. So I don't want to brag about it, right? But because of that opportunity, I was able to reach this. So again, it's very important.
Oh, we got a question.
Can I answer that question?
Yeah.
The question says, do you ever bring business cards or a copy of the poster on an 8.5 by 11 sheet to hand out when you present your poster? At the last conference I went to, I actually brought business cards, and I would, instead of having them fumble around in my pocket, I would pin them to the poster. And that way, if I'm talking to someone and they have questions, or if their work is pertinent to my work, we can just exchange business cards. I've never brought an 8.5 by 11 sheet handout of my poster presentation.
No, I think depending on the conference, there are some rules where they say you can't bring anything. Some people will try to bring a laptop with animation or something. That's not allowed. I used to cheat a little bit, but I brought like a mini printout of the protein, and I was able just to show it off, like secretly, like, oh, this is what I have, just to give them an idea. There's another question.
I see a question that asks, is anyone working on an NSF-GRFP? And that's the National Science Foundation Graduate Research Fellowship Program. And in answer to that question, Candace, I believe you're a Bridge to the Doctorate student at your institution. So all of the Bridge to the Doctorate fellows here at UIC are required to apply for the NSF-GRFP. And I might add that this year, one of our Bridge to the Doctorate fellows was awarded a GRFP. She deferred her GRFP award this fall so that she could finish her bridge to the doctorate funding, and she'll be awarded, I believe, at the rate of $34,000 a year next fall, or fall of 2017.
Absolutely.
All right. So how should we dress? Business casual or formal?
Business casual is fine, but I think that the more snappy you look,
The more snappy you
more
feel.
snappy you feel.
Yes.
It's kind of an interview trick from an interviewer's perspective. If I see that you took the time to put yourself really well together, it tells me that you're serious about the situation. So the more formal or, informal, I'm talking about, I wouldn't wear a t-shirt. I definitely would not wear blue jeans at all. Even with a nice shirt and a coat, I would not wear jeans. For ladies, I think a pantsuit or a skirt suit is fine. It's just, like you say, the snappier you look, the snappier you feel.
Are there any more questions? Somebody's typing.
Yeah, if someone can go on mute while you're typing, or just say it out loud.
Question out loud.
Just say it out loud.
They take homework.
All right.
Can we bring resumes?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, you're stepping into my world there. Please bring your resume. If you don't bring your resume, then I'm gonna call you out in the student session.
If that's one of the things that is required, absolutely. As a person who comes to a conference as an exhibitor, I would prefer that you don't give me a hard copy resume, but rather get my contact information and send me a digital copy, because I won't necessarily want to take away 50 resumes.
Or you could bring copies, but you don't have to distribute to every person that passes by.
Sure.
If someone's interested in a copy, it's okay to just be able to whip it out like that. A good trick though, if you have business cards, this is what I used to do. In my business card, I would have one of those IRQ codes, QR codes, right?
Oh.
And so anyone with like the app would be able to just scan it and get a link directly to my resume portfolio website or something. And
That's a good
Sticker
trick.
on the back.
that's it. I recommend that. So then you have different ways of distributing your contact and.
Do you have to pay for that QR code?
No.
There are
there's
apps that you can download.
apps,
Oh, okay.
Websites, there are plenty of websites for that. All you have to do is get a URL and just plug it in, and it'll be able to get
It'll
you a
create
code.
it for you.
Okay.
Please have, right before you come to the conference, email yourself your resume. Email it to yourself. That goes a long way, because even if you lose all of your resumes, you can always print it off at the hotel. And you will learn in the student session. This is just a sneak peek. Look, on the book, The Read It Theory to Success, the R is resume. So it is actually the very first thing we're going to talk about in the conference. We got to have that resume. That's a great question.
Hey, Abercrombs. And I would like to, I'm sorry, should I read that loud?
Yeah, read it out loud.
I have a question for Juan. That's me. I will be presenting at Abercrombs later this year, and I would like to know what the judging system is like. If I remember correctly, I don't know if they changed the rules, but there were 3 judges. And so layout, you basically have like a little piece of wall, you feed it up with tax or something, and 3 judges will come and they will ask you questions. have a piece of paper. You'll know who they are. It's not like a secret judge thing. And yeah, I was judged by 3 people, and I think they were experts in my field. And I was also open to the audience, so anyone can come up and like ask me anything. Well, they're like, I think they were judging the poster in terms of visual and how it was structured, and the way I presented. I think those are key components. Content, I think, as well. If you have results, if you're able to defend your poster, I think it's also, yeah, that was also valuable. I think in the website, guidelines how to judge you, but yeah, just be prepared to meet people that know what you're talking about and be able to elaborate explanations and ideas. Yeah. Any other question? Cash. Can I continue?
Yeah. Okay, Brian.
Yeah, so guys, first off, let's before we close out today, let's just give a round of applause to our presenters tonight. Wow. I will tell you, I know it was rich in information. I'm taking notes and I'm not even presenting. And so I thank you guys. I know the research and the studying you do right now is very demanding of your time. And so we do thank you for setting aside time tonight to help educate and inspire, and in the words of Kasha, to calm. Yeah, I think you guys have calmed the students some. So one of the things that we want to do is, students, this is actually last year's session. This is a student that took a picture with me, and look, I mean, she was confident. She was proud. This is how you should feel after you do this much work on your poster. So I really want you to be confident. Everyone is not going to win. I don't want you to get so caught up in the competition factor, and you should be learning. Learn and grow and have fun. If you win, you win. If you don't, you don't. The world's not over. Just have some fun and enjoy this moment. And it's such a fun atmosphere that we create at the conference. So don't let the poster session be something that brings you down. It should be something that builds you up. All right. And we just have a little bit of note-taking here for you. Guys, you want to share some of the key takeaways for tonight?
So when talking, deliver your presentation with confidence. Be sure to address your data and the pertinent results and outcomes. Don't skip over that part. That's what people want to know, want to see. Make sure your presentation flows in a logical pattern, that the way you speak, the audience kind of understands what you're talking about and that they're not lost. Make sure you know what's on your poster, whether it's a schematic or results or introduction or abstract. Be familiar with your poster. And most importantly, don't read from the poster.
Well, I've got 2 words that are really important too. Yes, remember to breathe. And please remember to smile.
Yay. We always smile. And you know what, guys? I really recommend, if anyone is actually coming to the conference, I highly recommend you come to the networking session that we're going to have. Deb, is it 3 to 5 p.m., correct? I believe it's 3 to 5, and we'll just verify that when you get the official schedule. But in the networking event, what I do is I give you those last-minute tips and advice to prepare you. I believe our poster session is from 9 to 11 p.m. So you'll have plenty of time between the 5 o'clock end of the networking event and the poster session to kind of make any last-minute adjustments that you need to make. So tell your friends when you get there to absolutely come to the networking session. Last year, it was like so amazing. We didn't know what we were doing, and it ended up turning, it was our first time trying it. This year, we're going to make it even better, but your presence there could help you get those last-minute tips. And you never know who's a judge. Never know. Network. So just last slide, I believe. So guys, this is my contact information, and I actually apologize because I believe that Juan and Kasha, they should have their contact information here. So we have your email addresses, and I'm pretty sure Deb will get you Juan and Kasha's detailed information, so you can reach out to them with any more questions. But I greatly appreciate you guys tuning in. We have another session. Oh.
Go ahead.
We're just putting our email.
Oh, we can't see. They can't see the other one. We'll wait. No problem. You guys jot down this information. Yeah, and I think Deb is also putting this information in the chat box as well. She's a speed typer. So guys, if you have any questions, if you have any information that you need, don't hesitate to reach out to myself through any of the social medias below. Don't hesitate to reach out to Kasha and Juan on their email addresses as well. Very last slide, Juan, if you can just go to the very last slide.
On my way. Okay. Here we go.
So we got a challenge, and I'm going to challenge you at the conference, and I know we're going to meet that challenge. But before the conference, I challenge every student that called in tonight to invite one more of your team members on the next call, because the next call, we're going to be discussing the resource fair prep. So at the conference, and probably at your universities as well in the fall, you're going to have a resource fair. Some people call it a career fair. There's all different titles, but you're going to have people there that are offering jobs, people there that are offering scholarships, people that are there helping you get admitted into school, people that are there to share, what resource they may have to help you on your journey. I'll be there with a booth. So there's going to be all type of resources available, and we're going to walk you through step-by-step process to maximize that experience at the conference. If I'm not mistaken, Deb has a full hour after my session is over. We'll do a full hour, and then we'll come back to finish off the student session. So we really want you to maximize that experience, and please tune in 2 weeks so then you can learn some tips on how to maximize it. And I challenge you to invite someone to join us so they can learn as well. And I think Deb has put all of that in the chat box.
Ryan, if I could just interject a little bit. To those students that are part of LSM, I want you to remember that in the spirit of LSM, you're looking to prepare yourself for graduate school experiences. So look forward to being able to not only identify perhaps prospective employment, but look at carrying through with the training that you've gotten from the Lewis-Stokes Alliance for Minority Participation and becoming more familiar with and preparing yourself for the next chapter in your educational experience in grad school.
Yes. So guys, we actually had a really good turnout tonight. We have a lot of feedback. I'm seeing the chat box right now. The chat box is people saying thank you. We had a great call tonight. With that said, Deb is going to send out a survey. We really need you to fill out the survey. It helps us get better at these calls for you, and also it allows for us to ensure that we're bringing you good topics, guys. We have some great topics on deck for this school year. We have interviewing skills. We have the the resource fair. We have salary negotiations. We have, we already did time management. We did personal branding. We have a lot of content for you this year. And so please continue to take advantage, but also give us feedback so we can make this better for you. And I'm very thankful that you students have really invested in yourselves. So I know you guys are telling us thank you. But I really thank you for taking time out of your studies to help better yourself. This is really really something special you guys are doing.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian, so much. Thank you, everyone, for attending tonight. It's been wonderful. I will be sending everybody an email with the survey link, as well as I will attach the PowerPoint slides if everybody promises to complete the survey, please. And then also, this has been recorded. It will be posted on the LSMCE website. Give us about 2 days or so to get that uploaded.
All right.
Thank you to UIC. You guys were wonderful. This has been great. Thank you very much.
Great job. Great job. Are you guys coming? Or you will be at the conference, correct?
Well, Gasha and I will be at the conference. Juan has an exam on Monday, and I do believe he's going to be studying.
Okay. Well, look forward to meeting you, and Juan, we'll take a lot of pictures for you. We'll do some Facebook Live or something like that for you. All right, guys. Well, have a great day. We're getting ready to tune out of here, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.